I'll share a little bit more about the season that is for me currently. And I know we're on part 2 of our series, Discerning the Signs of the Times. And it's actually an interesting topic because I sometimes believe it's not necessarily things that the church wants to speak about, but we need to talk about it. And obviously we've become very aware, I think over the past few months, especially over the past few years, that things are intensifying a little bit. So the theme of my sharing today, what the Lord gave me, and as I say, I don't share very often, and every now and then the Lord prompts me and says, there's something that I want you to share with the folk. So the theme of my sharing today is getting back to the watchtowers. And you probably think that's quite a strange theme, but I want to share around 3 aspects today. The one is Advent and what this means to us in December 2023, and discerning what the Lord is saying, and then hold your position and getting back to the watchtowers. So what is Advent, and what does this mean to us in December 2023? So obviously when we were very much a part of the Anglican Church or in the Christian calendar, we are currently in a season of Advent. So Advent is derived from the Latin word adventus, meaning coming. And according to Google, it means the arrival of a notable person. Advent is the period of preparation for the celebration of the birth of Jesus Christ at Christmas. But more importantly, it's a time of preparation for the second coming of Christ. The Advent season is also about reflecting on how we can prepare our hearts and homes for Christ's birth in the world as it is today. So I have a bit of a love-hate relationship with this time of the year because I actually love Christmas, but I can't deal with the manic, stressful obsession, what it's become. And it's actually can be a season of a lot of anxiety for a lot of people. And it all starts evolving around, the perfect tree, the perfect meal, the perfect gift. And it can be a very unhappy, lonely time for many people as we desperately try and create kind of the perfect setting that everything needs to be perfect. And it's often a difficult time to manage difficult and awkward family time, when we have family with us and not knowing always how to work out those situations. I've found that over the years, as I've grown in my relationship and passion for Jesus, I find myself focusing more on the return of Jesus than actually celebrating his birth, and especially since we started our journey with New Wine. There seems to be more of an urgency now than ever before that we are certainly in the last days, and as Gary said a few weeks back, we're in the final 100 meters. And I know for some of you, speaking about the end times and the fact that Jesus is coming back, I suppose it brings with it some mixed emotion because, I want to be a granny still. So that's like my next plan. Lord, that's for me, for my family, for my children. So part of me is saying, Lord, the world is such a desperate place. No pressure, Gaines. There's part of me that's saying, but Lord, I've got so much that I still want to see and do with my children, my family, the ministry here. But there are days when I just say, Jesus, come. Where one is so overwhelmed by the pain and brokenness of the world that there are no words. And you just kind of say, Jesus, if it's today, come today. So I know there's a bit of a wrestling in all of us because there's a tension that part of us, we want that new life because Jesus speaks about it and it's such a beautiful place. But there is part of us that says, I don't think I'm ready yet, Lord. There's just so much of life that I still want to do. And I think that's okay. But really what the Lord has been saying to me, as I've had the opportunity to observe people, both in my workplace, on a social level, with friends and family, and of course in and amongst the family at New Wine. And this is what I believe the Lord is saying to us, and it's probably the signs of the times. There is a spirit of harassment and discontentment in people. We are agitated and we are restless. Matthew 9:36 says, when Jesus saw the crowds, he had compassion on them because they were harassed and helpless like sheep without a shepherd. And I've really been sensing this in people, and especially even in believers. And I'm saying, Lord, what is going on? Because this is not where we should be positioned. And so I went and Googled and thought, well, what are the signs of discontentment? And I was shocked to see some of them, because I know I can tick some of these boxes. So it's complaining, worry, anxiety, preoccupied with what you don't have, materially or otherwise, greed, jealousy, never satisfied with anything or anyone, hard to please, and this last one, critical. And this is not a spiritual, has got, these symptoms or signs have no connotation to anything spiritual. I literally just put in the word discontentment, and this is what came up. And I thought, gosh, Lord, this is real, because I know that even for believers, we are really struggling with this. And I thought, let me go and look in the Bible and see, references to the spirit of discontentment and harassment. And in Exodus 16, verses 2 to 3, Moses was having a rough time. In the desert, the whole community grumbled against Moses and Aaron. The Israelites said to them, if only we had died by the Lord's hand in Egypt. There we sat around pots of meat and ate all the food we wanted, but you have brought us out into this desert to starve this entire assembly to death. So I had to say to the Lord, so why is it that so many of us, especially those of us who have a relationship with Jesus, are struggling so much with the spirit of harassment and discontentment and unhappiness? And I said, Lord, why have things gone so horribly wrong? Why does it seem as though the evil one is gaining ground? And he gave me this image, and I don't know if you've seen on movies where there's a whole lot of car thieves and they're in the car park and they're going quietly around to every car and doing this to see which car door has been left open. Now, I want you to keep that image in your mind, because I believe this is what's happening. So I believe the evil one is going around into our lives and checking what doors we've left open. And he does it subtly and quietly. We have given Satan a foothold in our marriages, homes, relationships, finances, everything. And I've realized, and it's so true, we're so caught up in doing life that we haven't noticed that Satan has slipped in the back door and is now nesting in our back room. And some of us are surprised with, how did you get here? And I've been so conscious about that. We're just so consumed with life and what is ahead of us that we're not aware. No one's watching the back door. And so the evil one's just come in and he's just slipped in. So as that illustration of the cars that these guys are trying to steal, they're going around checking to see which door's unlocked. And some of us, I'm afraid, have left doors unlocked. I spoke a few weeks ago, or months back, about wounds and scars. And I heard someone say this the other day, and I thought, that is just so real. Because it says that the evil one nests in our brokenness. And you kind of say, what does that mean? It means that where there are wounds in our lives, the evil one will come in at that very space where you are weak, where that chain is weak or where the door is unlocked. And people say, well, yeah, but Satan's coming. I'm saying, but it's not the Fabulous. Thank you, Matt. So when I say the evil one nests in our brokenness, so many of us are still living with wounds, and we are so consumed, overwhelmed with our brokenness, that Satan has just made himself a home there. And you might say, and people often say, well, we're Christians. Absolutely. And God's Spirit is in us. Absolutely. But always remember that when we were advancing the kingdom and we are moving, guess what's happening? We're a threat. Okay, so we have to be aware that the evil one, as we are progressing, even here at New Wine, do you know that we had 130 people here last Sunday? But guess what's happening in the background? Because what's happening? We're advancing the kingdom. Guess whose job that is in this season? And people often say to me, why don't we see you more in the front? I say, because I don't need to be in the front, because I'm leading from the back. Because this is my job in the season, and it's flipping hard. Because my blessed beloved husband is it's the Jesus way. And it's fabulous, but somebody's got to be watching the back door. And that's me in this season, and it's okay. I've accepted that position. It's not simple, but I've been so aware that as this beautiful place is moving forward, the evil one is not happy, completely threatened, and we're a huge threat. And it's exciting too, so let's not get it wrong. But I know the Lord has said to me, Lindy, your job in this season is to be on the watchtowers and to pray. Okay? Don't worry about what's happening in the front. Let your husband do that. The 2 Daves are doing a great job. But your job in this season, you lead from the back. And you get into the watchtowers and you push back. Because somebody's got to do it in the season. And in fairness, there's a lot going on. But I want you to understand that as the church is advancing and the evil one is threatened, so in your own personal lives, this is what's happening. Okay? And as we get closer to the time when Jesus is coming back, what do you think is going to happen? Things are hotting up. Okay, so as the evil one is pushing, we've got to push back. So that's why we spoke about many times over this year, this tension between the flesh and the spirit. There's this battle that's happening all the time. So we just have to be aware. So when I say hold your position and get back to your watchtowers, we need to get back into a position where we are able to pray. In 2 Chronicles chapter 20, the Lord gives Jehoshaphat victory over Moab and Ammon. And he says in chapter 20, verse 17, you need not fight this battle. Take up your positions, stand firm, and see the salvation of the Lord on your behalf, O Judah and Jerusalem. Do not be afraid or discouraged. Go out and face them tomorrow, for the Lord is with you. Now, I want to illustrate this, and I'm so glad Skev's sitting in the front row. Dave, please come here. I want to illustrate this to you. I know that the Lord is speaking about figuratively positioning ourselves, but I want you to get this picture in your mind so that you understand, okay? Jesus can only fight for us when we are positioned correctly, okay? When he says hold your position, what does that mean? So, okay, Dave, I know it's your 7th wedding anniversary today. Okay, 7. So now, for instance, say I'm saying that you are God now, okay? You're going to fight for me, okay? So who is it in your life that you just will protect with, like, everything, your whole being? You're going to make sure you give me the right answer now, okay?
My dog. No. My wife and my beautiful little girl.
Fabulous. Okay, so I want you to take up a position as though you are protecting them with everything that you have, okay? Okay, so come and stand here so that everyone can see you. Okay, so I want you to turn. You're not facing me now. You're protecting me. So face that way. Yes, I'm representing them. Okay, so you're ready. Okay. Now, please tell me. Don't move. Stay where you are. You can't look at me. Okay. Can you protect me now? No. Okay. Can you protect me now? No. Look forward. Okay. Okay, can you see what I'm saying? However, if I'm standing here, can you see the difference? Dave's really excited about this. Okay, you can go sit down. Thanks, Dave. Thank you. Okay, I want to just... Okay, this thing's gone to sleep. Okay, there we go. So I wanted you to understand what Jesus is trying to say. Obviously, God can see everything and knows exactly where we are. But I want to illustrate to you that when you're in the right position, then the Lord can fight for you. But don't come and say, Lord, well, I'm trusting you, but I'm all over the place. I'm so distracted with doing life, and I'm busy doing this, and I'm busy doing that. The Lord says, just be. We've been speaking about be, become, do. We like to do the do part, but the being part we struggle with. And my beloved husband as well. But anyway, we're advancing there much better than before. But it's about just sitting. Just be still. Just be. We struggle with that so much. So I want to pray that the next time when the Lord says to you, You do not need to fight this battle. Take up your position, stand firm, and see the salvation of the Lord on your behalf. Do not be afraid or discouraged. Go out and face them tomorrow, for the Lord is with you. Interestingly enough, in the same chapter, in verse 4, Jehoshaphat says to the whole community, we are going to fast and pray. Now, I know that that's something we're going to take up in the new year, about some Christian disciplines, and I'm really excited about that. So I just wanted to carry on and say, now, as you saw Dave standing and me behind him, I actually felt much safer there, because I felt that covering and protection of someone in front of me. Now, just the same as saying, Lord, just hold your position. Jesus cannot protect us if we're not holding our position. We need to start learning to be with Jesus, to abide in him. And I'm going to get Dave, the beginning of 2022, just before we did this church plant, I went to Fountain and Dave was on duty and he did a sharing on abiding in Jesus. It was profound. So you need to go and find those notes and come and share with us again about just what it means to abide in Jesus. Jesus doesn't need your assistance to fulfill his purpose and plans in our lives. He just needs our availability and obedience. Dave's mom was a proper intercessor, and she would spend many hours praying. I remember on a Sunday afternoon, I know Mary would remember, when they used to do the mission prayers for all the mission organizations, and they would come together and pray for hours. And I just said to David, I'm not doing that. Okay, I just don't have capacity. How do you sit on a Sunday afternoon and spend hours praying? And obviously with her passing, I was reminded again of that. And I just said, Lord, I don't know. To be an intercessor is something, but the Lord showed me and he said, Lindy, everyone is doing life the Jesus way. If you have chosen Jesus and we believe in this church that we're doing church and we're doing Jesus the Jesus way, then all of us know how to pray. You don't have to be an intercessor to hold your position and pray. And I think some of us struggle because it's hard work. And so I'm calling, and my call to you today is we need to get back to the watchtowers and resume our duties as watchmen and spending more time in his presence. And folk, I'm not going to lie, I find prayer incredibly hard work. I'm finding this more and more as I'm spending time praying. It takes from you. I think we've been speaking about this be, become, do. The be and the becoming is hard because it's effort. There's a cost involved. We're very all keen to do the doing part, but the being and the becoming means that we have to sit and we have to learn and we have to read and we have to pray. And I never considered myself to be an intercessor, but I do know how to pray. And that's what I've been doing in this season, and I've had to teach myself to spend more time. And I've actually had to say to the Lord, Lord, I'm praying about so much that's going on. You know, on a Monday we fast and pray for this community, for my marriage, for my children. And the Lord has given us phenomenal victories, and I can see the benefit of fasting. But when I'm praying in the spiritual realm, I often have to say, Jesus, it probably sounds bizarre, but I've said, Lord, heighten my senses to where the evil one is operating. You're going to think that's bizarre. But it has been profound where the Lord has protected, sustained, watched over, because he's given me the wisdom of discernment to say, and I often have said to David, there's something not lacquer here. So we often, we kind of don't always agree on everything, but that's not a bad thing. But it's been so good for me to say, Dave, you doing the Jesus way and you seeing ahead, but I'm concerned about something and I need to just make you aware. It might be nothing, because I'm a very practical person, actually. Dave's very intense, emotional, passionate, and Dave's Kev too, and we need people like that in the season because it's just the Jesus way. But we also need those folk in the background to be able to say, just watch this, I'm concerned, or there's a bit of awareness or discernment. And so I'm asking you in your own personal lives, pray that prayer. Jesus, just make me aware of where things are not like, or where your spirit is convicting me, or where the evil one is present and trying to gain a foothold. You do know what a foothold is? If you open a door and you put your foot in, that's a foothold, where you can't close that door. And that's what I'm saying for many of us. There's a spirit of discontentment and harassment in our lives because we have left our watchtowers and we're no longer watchmen. And so the evil one's coming in and he's taking from us in a big way. In a big way. A watchtower is a tower in which a sentinel is placed to watch for enemies or the approach of danger. And I believe the Lord is saying we've left our watchtowers and Satan is having a wonderful time. We need to take up our positions and get back to spending more time in prayer and praying against the invading darkness that seems to be overwhelming us. Yes, the enemy is gaining ground, but it's our fault. Less talking and more praying. Take authority over Satan, put on your armor and start waging in some proper spiritual warfare. I know next year, as I said, we were going to spend some time teaching on fasting, as I do believe we're losing out on the more of the miraculous signs and wonders and living a victorious life. So I thought, just to illustrate to you, because I think we remember when we see pictures, I thought I'd put some pictures up of a watchtower. So the one on the left, oh, you see, I'm also looking at the wrong side. One on the left is kind of Old Testament times that they built so that they could go, and you can see it's over a valley. So the watchman would go and stand on top of the watchtower to see the enemy. And I think they had a horn that they would blow. I'm not a historian, but I think that's how it worked, to warn that the enemy was approaching. Obviously, this one on the right is quite a bougie watchtower. I think it's probably what you would find in Jerusalem now. It would obviously also be used for shepherds who were obviously caring for their sheep and their flock. So when I speak about a watchtower, I'm speaking about going up and spending time in prayer and watching out for the enemy. As I draw to a close, I know that for the people we've journeyed with this year, whether it be family, personal friends, or many of you at New Wine, it's been a year of incredible pain, hopelessness, despair, trauma, heartache. But most of all, I know for many of us, it's been a sense of loss and a spirit of oppression and weariness. Many of us are just so tired and overwhelmed, me included. I don't have the answers, but I do know Jesus. And I'm going to hold my position and keep believing and trusting Him for healing, restoration, and revival. For Dave and I, many people don't know my beloved husband's story, but ministry has come at an incredible cost for him. The loss has been phenomenal because he's always done church the Jesus way, and he has always swum upstream. So he's lost a lot, and he never talks about it, but I know the pain is huge. But we're in a season, and I said to the Lord, even at our age, Lord, will you give back? And we had a lovely word, and actually Lana brought this word for Dave at our Connect group. And I believed it so much, not only for us as a family, but for Dave and for many of you in this church today. Joel chapter 2, 25 to 27. I will repay you for the years the locusts have eaten, the great locust and the young locust, the other locusts and the locust swarm, my great army that I sent among you. You will have plenty to eat until you are full, and you will praise the name of the Lord your God, who has worked wonders for you. Never again will my people be shamed. Then you will know that I am in Israel, that I am the Lord your God, and that there is no other. Never again will my people be shamed. And I said, Lord, please, will you give us a season where you give back double what those locusts have taken? And I know we're in that season, because look where we're standing, what the Lord is doing. Because he just said to us, a few years back, he said, David, I just want you to do church the Jesus way. And, we've been saying to people, kind of, why are people coming to New Wine? What makes us different? Or what is the thing that's drawing folk to us? And I realized that people just want the truth. They don't want fake. They want authentic Christianity. They want the word preached. They don't want grey. They want black and white. And they want Jesus. And so I'm just so grateful that in this season we can do church the Jesus way. And I know that the Lord has already begun that season of restoration for my husband, for this church, and for all of us standing here. I'm also tired. We're all overwhelmed. This year's been incredibly hard. But I want to just end with that beautiful verse in Deuteronomy 30, verse 17, that says, "This day I call the heavens and the earth as witnesses against you, that I have set before you life and death, blessings and curses. Now choose life, so that you and your children may live." Amen.